Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm looking at the matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and Cincinnati Bengals in Week 1. But before getting to that topic, question for those of you viewing, just a simple, straightforward question. Who do you think will win this matchup and what is your score prediction? The Vikings or the Bengals? Drop your thoughts down below. But getting straight into it, pretty interesting matchup because of the small backstory too. You know, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase being LSU teammates, now facing a former LSU teammate, Justin Jefferson. I think that's a fun little backstory to it. Nothing special, but at least something to consider when watching this game on the first week of NFL kickoff. Looking at the comparisons, quarterback matchup, starting off there. Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, both of them you could consider pocket passers, but I think the comparison 100% stops there. Joe Burrow, I feel like he's a guy that's willing to risk it, go for the deep ball, lay it all out, put everything he has on the game to win that game. Kirk Cousins, I feel like he's a little softer, more conservative. And there is no right or wrong answer. They both are pretty good quarterbacks, but I just think they're different. I think they're on similar states of talent just at this point in their career. Joe Burrow coming back from an injury, it being week 1. I think he has more raw skill and a much higher ceiling than Kirk Cousins, but just week 1, coming back from injury, I think we could say they're at right around the same spot for now. Looking at the backfield, I got to give the edge to Dalvin Cook. He's a top 3, top 5 running back in the league. Joe Mixon, I think people forget that he's pretty good. He's actually top 10 in my opinion, probably, but still, Dalvin Cook being top 5, top 3, Joe Mixon doesn't compare. Offensive line, choose your poison, I guess. I mean, Bengals, they didn't go with Penei Sewell, but they did still draft guys on this offensive line to add to the depth chart. They got guys in the 2nd, 4th, and 6th round. I don't know if any of them are going to be stars, but they at least got guys to be on that depth chart in case a guy like Riley Rife or Jonah Williams goes down. Bengals O-line isn't as bad as you think. Vikings got a steal, getting Christian Darrisaw late in the 1st round. Offensive line, pick whoever you want. I think they're both decent enough to not really swing the game so much. Neither is extremely dominant or extremely bad. Like I said, I don't think either of these offensive lines are really going to win the game for either team. Receiving core, Bengals got a great receiving core. I mean, Jamar Chase, Autumn Tate, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, that is amazing wide receiver room. And I think you can make the argument between Boyd, Higgins, and Chase. You can any of those 3 can fight for the number 1 spot on that team as the number 1 receiver. And that's a good problem to have when there is no clear-cut wide receiver number 1 on your team because all the guys are so good. That is, like I said, a good problem to have. Vikings, they got their own talent, though. Justin Jefferson, he's already a top 10 receiver in the NFL, and he was just a rookie. Adam Thielen, very reliable hands. Irv Smith, I think the Vikings have the best receiver between both teams, but I think the Bengals have the most talent when it comes to the entire depth chart comparing the two teams. So, again, pick your poison. You want the star power or do you want the guys 1 through 4 that are great? I think I would go with the Bengals at this point, honestly, just because of how many of those guys in the receiving core is good. But either way, go wherever you want. Looking at that defense, though, this is where the Vikings come away with the home run. Both of these teams are obviously going to be way different in 2021 than they were in 2020, just from free agency and the draft. You know, the Vikings got guys like Dalvin Tomlinson, they got Patrick Peterson, they got Xavier Woods, but a lot of the guys that were just already on the Vikings, but they are banged up or hurt or didn't play, whatever, a lot of those guys coming back like Daniel Hunter, Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr, that's going to be the bread and butter to this Vikings defense. That's going to make a huge difference in 2021 when they weren't around in 2020. Just a defense with Daniel Hunter, like I said, Dalvin Tomlinson, Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Harrison Smith, Xavier Woods, Patrick Peterson. That's going to be a hefty and scary defense for Joe Burrow and his offense to take on. And the Bengals have their decent guys on defense with Trey Hendrickson, with Jesse Bates, Von Bell, Trey Waynes. But I don't really want to compare them to the Vikings. I think they're on completely different tiers. I like Jesse Bates and Trey Hendrickson. Those are a lot of star-powered guys, but absolute top to bottom on defense. I think the Vikings are a much better team all around when comparing them on defense. Coaching staff, Mike Zimmer, very experienced head coach, defensive-minded. Zach Taylor, his job might be on the line here. You might be on the hot seat, but just because of that, I do think Mike Zimmer is a better head coach. Overall, I think this is anyone's game just because the quarterback matchup is so similar and both of the rosters both have their pros and cons. But the safe bet I'm going to go with is going to be the Minnesota Vikings to take this win away. Week 1, just Joe Burrow coming back from an injury. I don't know how he's going to respond. And the Vikings, they're hungry. They know they had raw skill and raw talent last year to be a good team, to be even a possible playoff team. Now getting all those guys back and adding more, I think this Vikings team is going to be pretty good this year. I think they're going to be a possible playoff team. You know, if Aaron Rodgers isn't in Green Bay, they could win the division. And even if he is, They might give them a run for it. Bengals, I like them to improve this year. I like them to maybe finally top the Steelers, but I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. I don't think they'll top the Browns or Ravens. It's going to be a tough year for them. Overall, I think they'll be better, but I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, and I do think the Vikings can be a playoff team. So for that reason, I'm going with the Vikings over the Bengals. But as always, I do want to hear your guys' opinions. Who do you think will win the matchup, and what's the score? I do think it'll be a close game. I think they'll be in contention to possibly the last play of the game, but I do think the Vikings come away. I think in a close game, like I said, maybe 28-24 or 30-24, something like that. I think it'll be a close one-score game, definitely worth watching, and I like the little backstory to it, like I said before, between Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase. Not that there's any, beef or bad blood between the two, but I do think that it'll be interesting to see them play each other again. And as always, guys, like I said, comment down below your opinions, and of course, I truly appreciate it. Thank you for watching. 2-minute warning.